Hello, my name is Paige. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to tell you about some hockey romance books that I love. I love hockey romances, and it is like one of my favorite, if not my favorite, sports romance. I love all of sports romance books, including like football and soccer and running and all the other sports. But hockey just holds a dear place in my heart, and I love hockey romance books. So I'm going to tell you about some that I've read and that I've loved. Of course, my absolute favorite hockey romance series is the Puck series by Helena Hunting. I recently read this a few months ago. I read the first book quite a while back, but just never picked up the rest of the books in the series. And then I started reading them and I had to binge them all. I absolutely adored this series so much. So this series follows this group of guys who play on the same hockey team. The first book starts out with like the team captain. His name is Alex, and this is his story with Violet. And Violet, her stepbrother also plays on the same team. So they're kind of her brother kind of like doesn't want her to be with him because of course, you know, that's his sister. There's kind of animosity between the, you know, Alex and her brother. Violet has kind of been spurned in the past by a hockey player, and so she has no interest in him, but he pursues her. And this is great groveling. He really grovels in this story because he messes up really bad, but he grovels so well. He really lets her know that, you know, he's super sorry and he will do anything for her. The second book follows her brother, and he has kind of always been known as a playboy character, and but has this interest in this girl named Summer. And she kind of believes like the tabloids and what they're saying, and even though sometimes they can be caught in really compromising positions, but it really wasn't what it seemed like. And so he has to always kind of like defend himself and like prove to her that he's not what like the tabloids project that the kind of character that he is. And then it just goes on from there. All of the books in the series revolves around one of the guys who plays, and I love that throughout this whole series, it's not just focusing on that one couple, but it follows all of the characters in the series. You see them all through every single book. And of course, there is Randy and Lily's story. He is, of course, plays for the hockey team. She is an ice skater. She used to train to, you know, be in the Olympics one day, but her dreams, she wasn't able to accomplish her dreams, so now she is a teacher. She teaches ice skating lessons. Randy has kind of said like he would never do relationships until he meets Lily, and of course they fall in love. And then there is the Scottish player of the team. He is such a broken soul. He has such a bad traumatic past, and he just doesn't let anybody close to him until he meets his physical therapist who helps him with his back. And they are also childhood friends. They knew each other before, and this was their romance and was so good. And then of course the last one is Darren. He is also another one of the hockey players, and he and Darlene, their love story is quite unique. She has a kind of a different background from like a cult, and so that kind of comes into play later in the book. But each romance is superb, and you see them all throughout the whole series, and I cannot recommend this series enough. So Helena Hunting kind of wrote a spin-off series from the Puck series, and I've only read the first book in the series, but I loved it as well, and I'm really looking forward to reading the rest in the series. But this is A Lie for a Lie, and this follows the guy from the hockey team that kind of comes on later when some of the other guys from Puck series are kind of like looking to retire, and he is like one of the new players, one of like the rookie players, and this is his story. This is an accidental pregnancy story. He meets this girl in Alaska. They're spending a few weeks in this like remote wilderness, and they are spending it together. He leaves. She doesn't know how to find him because he never really gave her his true name. And so she has his baby, and then he finds out later on when they kind of accidentally run into each other. And it is such a wonderful book as well. I really loved this spin-off series from Helena Hunting. And then I read Awk-Weird by Avery Flynn. I think this is the second book in this series, but I picked it up because it's also an accidental pregnancy. She meets him. He's a hockey player. She meets him at a wedding. They're both guests at this wedding, and they decide to hook up for the night, and she ends up being pregnant from that one night. And then she kind of, you know, goes to him. She lets him know that this has happened, and so she moves in with him going on, and because he wants to be a really big part in his child's life. And of course, with the forced proximity comes their inevitable relationship. Another one is The Year We Fell Down by Sarina Bowen. This is not too huge on the hockey, but it is a hockey romance nonetheless. This girl used to be a hockey player, and now she has had this injury where she cannot walk anymore. She is in this wheelchair, and she is going to this college, and she has to dorm in the disability accessible dorms. And there she meets her the guy who like lives next door. He is just temporarily disabled because he broke his leg, and now he's like, he walks, you know, he has a cast on his leg and walks with crutches. And he is also a hockey player, I believe, as well. But they meet and become best friends. This is kind of a friends to lovers situation because he's already in a relationship at this point when they meet. But there is hockey themes in this book. You know, she is very sad that she can no longer play like she used to, and he, of course, cannot play until he is healed. And this is their love story, and it was really good. I really enjoyed this one, even though the hockey themes weren't as prevalent in this book, but it was still technically a hockey romance. Of course, I love Him and Us by Sarina Bowen and Elle Kennedy. This is kind of like a duet story. This is an MM romance series. This follows two guys who met in hockey camp when they were boys. So every summer they would go to hockey camp and they would meet each other there, and they were best friends until something happens and one of them kind of disappears from the other's life. Now they are grown up and they are both going to different colleges, and now they're playing against each other. Like for the championship game, they're playing against each other. Both of their teams are, and they have to meet back up again. They start their friendship back up. They both agree to coach the hockey camp that they used to go to when they were boys. And so here they are living, you know, for a few weeks very close together and spending every day together. And of course this leads to their romance. I love this series so much. I need to reread it. I've been wanting to reread it lately so bad. I love Jamie and Wes's story. Just so good. Of course, I have to recommend Always Only You by Chloe Liese. This is the second book in the Bergman Brothers series. This follows the brother Ren. He is a hockey player, and this is his romance to Fran. She works for the hockey team. She's like the social coordinator. She runs all of their social medias and all that. And so it is forbidden for them to have any kind of romance with each other. But he is very like sunshiny character, and she is a grump. She is just kind of gives off the vibe that she's just very grumpy. She deals with a chronic illness, which is rheumatoid arthritis, and she walks with a cane, and so she has to just be really careful about what she does. Somebody breaks into her house, and while her house is being repaired, he offers her a place to stay. So she is staying with Ren. Ren has had a huge crush on Fran for a long time, and then of course, you know, with this forced proximity, it kind of draws them closer together. But there is that forbiddenness of them not being able to be together because of her working for his hockey team. I also have another one. It's not quite a hockey romance. It's just that he is a former hockey player, but I thought I would include it anyway. This is Make It Sweet by Kristin Callihan. This is about a guy who was a really great hockey player. It is what he loved. It is his life until he has an injury on ice, and he gets a really bad concussion, and the doctors tell him he cannot play anymore. If he plays and has another injury, it could kill him. And he is just very bitter about this, and so he goes to stay with his grandmother. She has like an estate type of place where people can come and stay, and there he meets this actress who is just taking a break for a while, and this is their romance. I really love the Fake Boyfriend series by Finley, and one of the books in this series is a hockey romance, and this is an MM romance, and this follows a hockey player. This is Deke by Finley. This follows Ollie. He is a hockey player and he meets this journalist, and he's just kind of like wanting to get the scoop on him and his friends, and this is their romance. They hook up, and then Ollie kind of finds out that, you know, this guy is just trying to get a story on him and his friends, and he doesn't really want anything to do with him. But of course this is their love story, and things happen and they fall in love with each other, and I love this book. I love this series. And another book in that same series is Hat Trick by Finley. This revolves around, I think he plays on the same team as Ollie, but he is an older guy. He's looking to retire soon, but he is a hockey player, and this is his romance with his best friend's little brother. This is kind of like an age gap. He is looking to become a rock star, and he does, you know, have a successful career. He fights off his attraction to this younger guy, but of course their connection is undeniable, and this is their romance. And then the last one is Bountiful by Sarina Bowen. This is about a guy who is a hockey player, and he is taking this vacation on the off season, and he ends up in this small town, and he ends up hooking up with the bartender, and he leaves and he comes back a few years later to, you know, come back to this small town. He really enjoyed his stay there, and he also wanted to find her, and when he finds her, she has a really big surprise. She's had a baby, and he finds out that it's his, and she has been trying to find him for, you know, this whole time. So now he finds out he is a father to his daughter, and of course he wants a relationship with her as well, and this is their love story. So those are some hockey romances that I have read and loved. Let me know any hockey romances that you have read and loved, because I am all the time looking for more hockey romances to read. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.